Yo, Natsu here. So, like I said in part 5 of What If Deku Wasn't Danmachi, I lost a bet, so I have to make a redo of What If Deku was a Lightning Dragon Slayer. This is actually going to be my third What If where I do it without any scripting, or even anything like notes or stuff, so yeah, bear with it on this one. So, in this one, well, for anyone who already, well, saw my first What If Deku was in Danma, was a Dragon Slayer, things are going to be different. What do I mean by this is that in the last one, sorry about that, Deku was, well, no, the dragons simply lived in My Hero Academia. In this one, the difference is that the dragons don't come from My Hero Academia. They actually come from another world that was connected at one point a few centuries back. Basically, some portals started to appear, and during the time that those portals were there, some humans from My Hero Academia went to the other world. At the same time, some dragons, as well as some other creatures from that world, came to My Hero Academia, bringing with them the magic they already had inside of them, as well as the power to create their own magic. Over time, those creatures stayed hidden mostly. In fact, almost nobody ever saw them. Those were what were known as cryptids. Well, what we know as cryptids. So Bigfoot, stuff like that, were basically those types of creatures. But they were never actually caught or stuff like that, completely to basically make it believable. Over time, the people that went to the other world started to come back as well, or their children came back, but without actually having powers yet. Over time, the portals started to disappear. Most of the creatures either went back in it or stayed there and themselves had offspring with animals from My Hero Academia. One of the creatures, though, that didn't fully left was actually the dragons. The dragons found a way to actually pass between those worlds by themselves without need of anything external. Meaning that by themselves they can go back to the other world and come back to My Hero Academia. Basically pass between the two. Then for the humans. Over time, more generation happened. About 3 generations after those portals basically closed, and that most of the people were able to come back, quirks started appearing. This was the result of the magic that were now in their bodies. Since they could not use that magic for those that simply came back from that world, it just stayed in them and in the end got passed down to their kids, who now their bodies were able to kind of make it. But not really well yet. Basically, it was in them. Their bodies started to create a tiny bit of it at the time. Then, in the second generation, after the first generation that were born with it, the magic started to basically go into their genes, starting to modify things and changing from magic to something else. The third generation once again had mutations, but no powers. This was the last step before it actually became powers, which is when the generation with quirks appeared. Which was basically already forgotten that there was another world, so people literally just called them quirks and thought it was all genetics. Which it is by this point, but it started off as being from magic. Once quirks started appearing, they also saw that monsters had, well, animals had those types of things as well. Which was basically because, well, monsters or other creatures with magic also mated with animals, and over time it kind of took over some of those races, basically passing it on into those genes as well. And in 3 generations of humans, which is around, well, depending on how you want to see it, can go from 40 if they're, 60 if they're basically doing it the moment they become adults, to around 80, 100 years, really depending on when they decide to say, okay, yeah, this is the next generation. So, basically, it was kind of forgotten that this happened. Some people still thought, oh yeah, I remember going to another world, but by this point they're so old that people just think they're crazy. So, basically, they just thought quirks were genetics, which is that, but without exterior factors. Now, for the dragons, just like in my previous ones, they also have lacrimas. But it's more about their power being condensed over time and creating a rock of pure magic that comes from them. Those can be given, once again, to human to make a dragon slayer, or they can train a human to make them a dragon slayer if they have magic in them. Which nobody has in that world, so they can't really do it unless they give a lacrima. In this one, Deku's going to get his lacrima around 6 this time, compared to just before Katsuki got it. Well, Bakugo. I realized that I put Sudoku in the background so that I could do it at the same time, but I'm not even trying to do it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but yeah, so the reason Deku got it this time was a bit different. In the first one, it was his father that found it and brought it home. This time, it's a bit different. Deku actually ran away from home. Well, basically after being bullied during during a school field day, Deku decided to not go back on the bus and simply run away. Which made a lot of problems for the schools, which, yeah, obviously. And while Deku was running away, basically where they were was a research center close to a forest where they were actually doing research on some of the creatures, well, animals, that had powers. Since some did look really amazing. Oh yeah, also, because of how quirks actually appeared in this world this time, many animals have it. Around 40% of the animal population can be seen to have a quirk. Most are extremely minor quirks, like President Nezu is actually one of the very rare case where the quirk is actually very noticeable. So, it's not all that have it. Yes, a large majority of them have it, but some it's just like, oh, here's a bear that has antennas. Basically, nothing that's being helpful. So, they kind of just research what those animals can do, and that's where Deku basically ran off in the forest. So, he basically left a bit before the field trip stopped, so basically it took a while for them to discover that he's missing, because obviously the teachers basically just like every other people see people without quirks as lesser. So Deku, yeah, they still see him as a kid, but they won't really look for him until that point because, well, oh, he doesn't have a quirk. He's most likely crying in a corner somewhere. So they basically just forget about him until they basically discover that, oh shit, he's gone. So, yeah, for them it's a lot of problems, and Katsuki basically realized that, oh shit, Deku's gone. So, after basically looking for him for a while and not finding him, yeah, they had to call Inko to tell her that he was missing. Which didn't go well with her, didn't go well with anyone actually. So, Deku, what he was doing in that moment was actually running through the forest as far as he could, thinking he doesn't want to be in a society where, well, he's looked down upon. So, while running, he actually came across a large rock-looking thing from the back, but when he got closer and passed next to it, he actually saw that, oh, it's the entrance of a cave. So, Deku basically went into it thinking he's actually at least going to be able to rest a bit, because, well, running for a while will exhaust anyone. So, while he was going inside, he was still looking around. He is a kid, so he is curious. And after a while of walking, he actually just saw that, yeah, it just looks like a normal cave, so meh, nothing much to see here. On top of that, it's so dark that he doesn't see that much anyway. But yeah, he basically just kind of got himself in a corner and basically tried to relax a bit. Until a bit later, where he actually just kind of saw something. He didn't know what it was, but with the sun going down and flashing inside the cave at just the right angle, he saw something that was kind of shining. So he basically went to check it out and found a rock that was yellow, a bit see-through, with some type of lightning looking thing inside of it. Deku picked it up and, for some reason, just felt amazing while holding it. He really didn't know what it was, but he just thought that if this feels that good, like, basically he feels as if he's on top of the world, as if he's the most powerful. So, he likes it. He basically goes back to where he was, holding the stone, and basically kind of just fell asleep with it. The reason why it was there without the dragon was that this was the dragon's nest for a bit. Blech. Sorry about that, for a bit. But he decided to leave basically after some researchers basically got too close for his comfort, forgetting to take his lacrima. Well, less forgetting to take it and more didn't check if he actually did. So he forgot it there for Deku to find. So after a bit, basically when Deku woke up, the stone wasn't there anymore. He was a bit sad, but he felt different. He felt strong, and as if the energy he felt from the stone was just part of him. He didn't think much of it, but not long afterward, he started to realize that being without his mom is kind of, well, lonely. And so he started crying. A bit later, well, since he's 6 basically, so yeah. Any kid who wants to run away would try to go away, and not long after basically start feeling lonely and go back to where, well, whatever, or whoever his family is. So, basically, Deku started crying. The people who were looking for him, well, heard him cry and found him. So, yeah, he got brought back home, with his mom being extremely happy that he's safe, but taking him out of that school because, well, literally, he was being bullied so much that he literally ran away during a field trip. Something that normally kids would like and not think of bullying as much during. Mostly when they can see animals using quirks, so yeah, those kids were just bullying him and finding it better than look at animals with little quirks that they can see being used without actually any restraints. Making her think that, yeah, no, I don't want my kid there. A few parents also didn't put the blame on her, on the researchers, and actually put the blame on their kids. I don't mean the researchers, I mean the teachers. Because, okay, yeah, it can be seen as their fault as well, since they didn't stop anything. But the parents just see it as they gave up on trying to stop it because nothing was changing. Even though, no, they just kind of didn't care from the start, so yeah, they should have put some blame on them. But anyway, Deku basically didn't want to go to that school anymore, and Inko basically decided to take him out of there. So they sent him to another school, where he will be with Kirishima and Mina. Basically, they, well, Inko told them about what happened to Bakugo's mom, Mitsuki, and then they moved away to basically closer to another school so that Deku could go there, which is where he meets Mina and Kirishima, who are actually nice to him even though he thinks he doesn't have a quirk. Until a few days after he finally changed school, where someone who had a quirk and thought a bit like him, like Bakugo, of bullying him, basically got a shock drink to push Deku. He basically went crying to some teachers that he zapped him with his quirk. With people saying, wait, but he doesn't have a quirk. And basically trying to find out what was happening. And when they found out that he does have a quirk, they basically all thought he was a late bloomer, with Kirishima being really actually impressed well, not with the quirk itself, but that Deku actually zapped the kid who was trying to bully him, and saw it as auto-defense, and basically pushed out his own quirk out of pure desire for, well, protection. Which wasn't actually true, but still funny for him to think like that, because, yeah, even when he was young, well, after his quirk developed, he saw manliness as the, well, best thing in the world. So, yeah, he already has his quirk, kind of, for Kirishima, since he got it young, cut himself, and gave himself his car. And in this one, he's going to grow his quirk a lot faster. Because of Deku. Basically, the reason why it took a few days for Deku's quirk to, well, for Deku's lightning powers to show themselves is that the stone was basically trying to find magic in his body, didn't find any, and started to produce it and sending it through his entire body, modifying his genetic itself. Basically turning his body into something that was able to make magic itself, as well as being lightning type magic, to basically be able to make what he needs. During that time, though, the dragon went back to the cave trying to find his lacrima, didn't find it, and was basically ready to go look for it. But didn't know where it was, so it's going to take a while. So, Deku's basically safe for now, and basically, with his mom finding out that he has a quirk and that he is just a late bloomer, she was really happy for him, since obviously she wanted him to be happy. So if he can finally have a quirk, he can be a hero. He can be happy. So yeah, obviously she's happy for him. So yeah, for now, well, until UA actually, Bakugo and Deku won't even see each other. And in fact, Bakugo gets a massive beating from Mitsuki, because obviously he literally bullied his childhood friend for an entire 2 years after discovering, oh yeah, he doesn't have a quirk, all the way up until he was ready to literally run away. Which, yeah, she's not happy about that. And yeah, he kind of get that beaten into him that bullying is bad and that he's not the center of the world. He will still be our Bakugo that we all love to hate or love to love, but he's going to be a bit less, how do we say, hateful towards someone that doesn't have a quirk. Everything else, he's basically the same brat as ever. So don't worry, I'm not changing him that much. But yeah, so over the next few years, basically Deku with Kirishima were basically getting more and more close. First of all, Deku started gaining muscle and a lot of strength, speed, and power. In fact, he was training his lightning quirk every time he could. Well, what he thought was a lightning quirk. So, basically, he was looking at how much he could do it. He saw that he could do a lot of it. At one point, and he also got really hungry and accidentally ate electricity from the class's electrical sockets, which everyone basically saw him do. Basically, it was an accident, but it still happened with him eating it, With Kirishima being the most impressed, and everyone else just praising Deku for having such an awesome quirk. Obviously, Deku, knowing how Bakugo treated him, he didn't actually want to treat anyone like that. So, he was always saying it wasn't as that impressive and that anyone who trains his quirk could probably be stronger than him. With a lot of people not actually thinking like that, thinking that no, his quirk is the best, blah blah blah, and basically just thinking like that. But with Kirishima basically thinking that, yeah, if I train, I might be able to stand with him. We both want to be heroes, so if I want to compete with him, I have to train more. Pushing him to actually develop his quirk as well as his body a lot more. Basically think that by the point where they actually start going to UA, his power would be around, well, before the time where he creates the skill, well, not the skill, but the ultimate move, Unbreakable. So basically he will already have full body hardening near perfectly. That's not now, it's at before UA start that it's going to be like that, but yeah, you get it. Mina gets interested in Deku though, mostly because, well, he is funny in the way that he always tried to push down his fame with everyone. And basically over time they just kind of grow closer together as basically three friends. So about, well, the point where the dragon finally finds Deku is about 3 years after he changes school, so when he's 9 years old. During the summer, so when he doesn't actually have that much school, well, that much of anything to do actually, he basically went to play around in a park and someone, well, no, something, basically started calling for him. Only reason I said someone was because of something I was already thinking of doing in the other one. Well, in What If Deku Wasn't Danmachi with the 7 Deadly Sins skills. But him, it won't be a dragon, so yeah, I don't know why I said someone. But yeah, so Deku, being 9 and all, hearing someone asking him to come help him, and him wanting to be a hero, kind of didn't really think about anything and just went to see if he could do anything to help. Because it truly sounded like distress. But when he got there, first of all, he didn't actually see anyone. He started asking where the person was so that he could help them, with the dragon starting to move not far from him, until he said, even though you didn't find anyone, you still thought that it wasn't a trick. Deku, hearing the voice coming from way too high, looked behind him, and basically just saw a huge lizard with wings, well, a dragon, and basically screamed. He tried to run away, using something he called Lightning Body, basically wrapping himself in lightning, making every nerve connection in his body which use electricity be able to move almost instantly by literally always being connected. So it's not like Lightning Body where he becomes lightning yet, like Luxus can do. It's basically just an ability that allows him to move faster. He tried to run with the dragon basically shooting a lightning breath, kind of blocking his way. With Deku being afraid but then amazed by the power at the same time. Kind of just his analyzation mentality basically taking in because, whoa, that much electricity. If I were to eat it, how strong would I get? Which, basically, he kind of just said it out loud accidentally, with the dragon just laughing. Basically, Deku turned around because the laughing didn't seem mean. It actually sounded as if the dragon really was just amused. The dragon then saw that Deku stopped trying to run and basically just told him, "Why did you stop running? I'm still here, so why are you still here?" With Deku's basically just thinking, well, with how powerful you are, if you wanted to kill me, you would have done it without even speaking. With the dragon just looking at him and saying that even if you wanted to kill him with that breath, it wouldn't have done anything to him. With Deku not understanding, and the dragon saying that, well, asking, "You took the stone that was in the cave, right?" Deku saying, "What?" With the dragon just saying, "The other day when you were in a cave, right? And you found a weird yellow stone." Deku just thinking, "The other day? That was 3 years ago." With the dragon just looking at him like, oh, 3 years for a dragon isn't a long time. But I guess for a human it would be. Deku just hearing dragon basically said, "So you're a real life dragon?" With the dragon saying, "Yes, but it doesn't matter right now. What I want to know is, did you take the stone?" With Deku saying that he did take it, but it disappeared by morning. With the dragon just saying, "Because you absorbed it." Basically getting closer to Deku and putting its claw basically on Deku's chest. Deku finally being afraid again. And the dragon basically saying that the stone is right there. In his body. Merged together with him. Then he said that if he wanted to take it out though, he could just kill Deku, but Deku seemed to not actually have the power going to his head. Which is what actually makes the dragon think that Deku could keep it if he isn't using it for bad. Deku asking what he means. With the dragon then explaining that dragons and a lot of other monsters came from another world. In fact, the quirks people have in this world actually comes from magic merging with their DNA. Well, with their genes. Over multiple generations, the magic completely disappeared, but was transformed into something else. What you call quirks. A direct modification of the entire body. You could say that you now have a quirk, because when you absorbed my lacrima, your body was transformed to be able to create magic, simply so that the stone could actually be useful. In fact, there are other stones like that, other lacrimas, but from different elements. We dragons can make them over a few decades. Well, decades. But we don't normally make them with purpose in mind. In fact, if I were to count, from what I know, there are about 15 dragons here. If more didn't come, or if others didn't left, each of them should have a minimum of one lacrima, which I know of 2 people who actually uses them, though one of them is known as a villain. He lives in the US, but his dragon doesn't actually want to deal with him, so he's basically left the room free. The other one is actually used by an old man, simply to be able to live longer, who is hidden in Russia. Basically, Deku just asks why he's being told this, with the dragon just saying that he wants to explain to Deku specifically why, well, she, to be more precise, I'm going to explain a bit. She wants Deku to understand that he is not the only special one who actually still has magic. Then she says that, in fact, at some point some human actually had more than one lacrima. But most of the people who had those basically started having the power go to their head and had to be dealt with either by someone more powerful than them or dragons themselves. Even though those lacrimas are made specifically to be able to give someone the power to fight dragons. Deku basically asking what that means, with the dragon looking at him and saying that those that gain a lacrima or those that are trained by dragon are known as dragon slayers. The magic they have can actually fight against the element itself, actually making the person completely immune to it and able to actually eat it to make themselves stronger, unless that power comes from beings that are godlike. Which Deku basically just said, wait, gods? With the dragon saying, don't worry, there shouldn't be any in this world. Or at least, not that would interfere directly. But I wanted to know from you, do you want to use it for evil? With Deku just saying that he wants to be a hero. He wants to be the best hero. Which she left, and Deku got angry saying, what, you think I can't be one? With her just saying that it's not that. She's just saying that it's funny that a kid is able to actually think rationally while using the stone and talking to her. That what is hilarious right now is that he is not stricken with fear, or even being overconfident from the stone. And even if she just told him that he could actually be quite powerful, he is still kind of humble and ready to just be a hero, when he could probably take over the world, if he trained well. With Deku telling her that he would never do that. She laughed again and then asked him a simple question. Would you like to be trained in Dragon Slayer magic? Deku didn't actually understand it quite well at first, until she said, listen, we dragons and Dragon Slayer have a type of relationship. Most people who get trained by us call us their parents, because we are the parent of their power. We gave it to them. You would become a Dragon Slayer. In fact, you are already one. You are the Lightning Dragon Slayer. My name is The only thing I had prepared was a name for her, and literally I'm not even able to say it. Ugh. Really sorry about that. That was the only thing I was able to think about the entire time I was thinking of this. What name will I give the dragon? And I'm not even able to say the name. Lara Gula. I think that was that. Pretty sure there was supposed to be an R in there, but whatever. Lara Gula. Oh yeah, there's one. Whatever, I'm dumb, so yeah, Lara Gula. That's going to be her name. Set in stone right there, okay? If I try to call her anything else, hate me in the comment section. Do it. Do it. But yeah, basically, she presents herself as Laragula, the lightning dragon. Deku basically presented himself as Izuku Midoriya, which she said that it's funny. In the world she comes from, people do have, well, family name. But Dragon Slayers changed that name to the family name of their dragon. Which Deku basically just thought that he can't really do that here. Then just thought, but he can maybe use it as his hero name? Which she just laughed at him and said that it wouldn't actually be quite a fitting name for a hero. In fact, she doesn't want to say her family name simply because, well, it might scare him. As well as it is kind of not something that can be said in, well, the human language. In the dragon language, it does have, well, a sound, but for humans it just sounds like a roar, so yeah. Unless he wants to learn dragon language, he wouldn't actually be able to do that. Deku still was interested in that sound and basically said that, well, if she does train him, she could also teach him dragon language. Hearing that, she did laugh again because, well, she wasn't ready to hear that one. Like, oh, you still want to learn the dragon language? With him saying that, well, he might as well if he wants to learn her full name. Which, once again, made her laugh. With Deku saying that she laughs a lot. With her saying that when people are her age, anything funny is good. Then Deku just kind of told her that he can't train a lot though, because he still has school and stuff like that. Though, right now it is summer break, so for a bit he does have time. But he was planning to go be with his friends. So, he basically told her that if she wants to... Let me try that again. She said that if he wants to train, simply come to the park, and that she was going to try training him. He asked her how she was going to stay hidden because of her full size, with her saying that she won't always be here, but that if she wanted to be here, she can just make another cave, which can be hidden. Which made Deku just think, yeah, if you can make a cave, I guess you could be hidden. She told him to go with his friend because she hears that he's already here. Then, before he leaves, she tells him that when they begin training, all of his senses are going to start changing, as well as his body. Right now, he already looks pretty strong for a human. But that after training for a long time, he will have unimaginable power. Though she doesn't know if only 10 years would be enough for that much. Deku says that, well, if he wants to go to a hero school, he'll need to be 16, so it's only going to be 6 to 7 years. With her thinking that, well, unless at one point you decide to fully train with me for an entire year, it's going to be a long process. Which he didn't really care about, so they basically agreed to that, and he left to go basically play with Kirishima. Just before he leaves, though, she tells him to not talk about her existence, since, yes, beasts with quirks do exist, but a dragon would be surprising. Which he admitted that it would be true. Then he basically just thought, wait, but how did you get in this park if you were want to be hidden? With her just saying that a lightning dragon can move pretty easily if they use their power right. And then basically told him to go. When meeting with Kirishima, he didn't talk about the dragon and basically just kind of played with him for a while. After that, basically, almost every day, he basically went back to the park to basically train with the dragon. Yeah, I already forgot her name. So I'm going to refrain. Anyway, I'm already almost done. So basically, every day until he is 12, he basically went to train with her at least for an hour. You might think it's not that long, but yeah, it can be. During those 3 years, though, he was being trained both physically, well, for his physique, his magic, the different techniques, as well as a few secret arts, and, of course, the dragon language. When I'm going to use the dragon language, I'm going to say when I'm using it, and basically for everyone else it just sounds like roars. But for Deku, and whichever else is able to use the dragon language, it's going to sound like actual words. So, yeah. During those 3 years, actually, something funny happened, which was that Kirishima accidentally came up upon Deku training with the dragon. And him seeing Deku actually just training normally, as if nothing was going on, basically just thought that it was someone with a dragon quirk, and basically was just amazed. The dragon, seeing Kirishima not even afraid, basically just laughed at this, like, really out loud, shaking the ground itself. And basically a few explanations later, he discovered that, yeah, no, it was an actual dragon. They also explained that she's training Deku to use his power because, well, they actually kind of come from her. Kirishima basically asked, like, what that meant, and she explained once again about dragons, what quirks really are, the lacrimas, and that Deku has one. With Kirishima basically saying that, well, it's amazing. Just thinking that, well, he didn't have a quirk, now he has power. Basically, it's just winning for him. It doesn't matter. It's still his friend. with Deku actually being really happy that he thinks like that, with the dragon just thinking that, yeah, that kid's really nice. Mostly compared to the other friend that Deku talked to her about, Bakugo, obviously. Um, so sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, he asked if he could train as well. Obviously, he doesn't have anything about lightning, but with his hardening, he can train a lot, and he could be a good punching bag for Deku, while Deku could increase Kirishima's durability, which is the reason why Kirishima is basically going to already be close to unbreakable before you even starts. He's also going to be trained in dragon language, so another thing. So I'm going to end it here. In the next part, which I'm probably going to do either tomorrow or something, yeah, I'm going to talk a bit more about training. More specifically, an entire year of training where they won't even go to school, and Mina is going to join them as well. Another thing. Basically, those three are going to be very powerful and basically be trained by the Lightning Dragon somewhere else than in a park. Basically, she's going to bring them somewhere. Their parents are basically going to be explained by, well, her, the dragon, in... I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do that, but depending on what I decide, either they will just be told an excuse that someone wants to train them. Most likely their parent will ask to see her, and they're going to say that she has a dragon quirk, but doesn't want to be seen in her human form. Or they're just going to have something else happen. But yeah, so hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. If you have comments or questions, leave them in the comment section. If you want to come to my Discord, then it's going to be in the description. And yeah, Natsu out.